Did you know that in the 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons adventure Dragonlance, Shadow of the Dragon Queen, there's an opportunity to insert a Ravenloft one-shot adventure? It's true. Now there's a right way and a wrong way to do that, so I'm going to help you out in this video. Welcome to PhD&D everyone, I'm Dr. Bowers, and this video contains spoilers for Dragonlance, Shadow of the Dragon Queen. So if you're planning to play in that adventure, you might want to avoid this video, but feel free to send your Dungeon Master this video so that they can look up and see whether they want to follow my suggestions. So in Chapter 5 of Dragonlance, Shadow of the Dragon Queen, the PCs are wandering around the Northern Wastes, a ruinous, deserted landscape prone to flash flooding and monstrous attacks, looking for the legendary City of Lost Names. This search requires the PCs to explore the ruins of an ancient elvish tower called Wakenreth. And at that tower's top, the PCs find a portal. It was once a portal to the Feywild, but because of wreck and ruin, it has become a portal to the Shadowfell. Now, the adventure expects the PCs to explore that portal, which means that the PCs in Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen are going to explore just a little bit of Ravenloft, a little bit of the Shadowfell mists, and perhaps a domain inside. Now, my recommendation is that you take the Ravenloft domain Cyre 1313 and put it right here in the Dragonlance adventure. And here are 4 reasons why. Number 4, what they've got in the adventure as written is actually pretty boring. If you run the adventure as written, here's what's going to happen. The PCs will enter the portal. They will find themselves in a spooky, mist-filled expanse. And there, within the expanse, they'll see an elf named Variel. And the elf will say, "Ooh, this place is spooky, isn't it? Please go to the other side of this portal and sever the connection between this spooky place and your world." But then no sooner than the PCs receive these instructions, they're attacked by an undead something or other. Assuming they defeat that something or other, that's it. That's all that happens. They leave Ravenloft and then they close the portal. That's it. That's all that happens. That's not very exciting. You want to put something in there, actually, that's, well, an adventure, not just a quick dip into a spooky room. This is Ravenloft. So you've got to replace that with something, and I recommend Cyre 1313. As to a more specific reason, well, number 3, the themes are absolutely perfect. The main theme of Dragonlance, Shadow of the Dragon Queen, is war. It's about large-scale battles, the impact of war on smaller communities and larger kingdoms alike, what happens when people are pushed to the brink, and what happens when the armies of entire nations enlist and are enlisted by the very gods themselves. It's war, but fantasy war. Now, when we look at the domain of Cyre 1313, the theme is also war. Only because it's a Ravenloft domain, the theme is bleak. It's about the ravages of war, the horror of war. And it's full of literal ghosts who rant and rail and rave about their past experience and suffering. So one thing to do with Cyre 1313 is present it as perhaps a horrible possibility in the future. What happens if this war with the dragon army escalates? What happens if godly weapons get used? What happens if? Could it be as bad as the morning? That is a wonderful question to explore and maybe wave in front of your PCs. Also, number 2, Cyre 1313 is an easy domain to do a one-shot in. It's just a train, after all. The entire domain is a train, very well bounded, the PCs can't really get off of it, and so if you want to have just a short jaunt into Ravenloft, you can put them in Cyre 1313, and you can be absolutely sure that the PCs won't just wander off over the hills and get lost and go on some separate side quest to go to a castle and slay a vampire or whatever. And finally, number 1, there's already a pretty good, if I may say so, Cyre 1313 one-shot adventure that you can take right off this channel. It's already pitched at the perfect level, just ignore the leveling requirement and be conscious of using some monster dials to turn down the difficulty a little towards the end, but otherwise it works perfectly. I did it in my own Dragonlance campaign, and my players had a blast. So check out my video on Cyre 1313, which I'll put a link to in the doobly-doo, and if you really like that video, or if you like that adventure, please consider picking up the written version in PhD&D's Ravenloft Adventures Volume 1, also link in the doobly-doo. So that's today's little video. There's a spot in Dragonlance, Shadow of the Dragon Queen, where there's a potential for a Ravenloft adventure. You should put Cyre 1313 in there, and I gave you 4 reasons why. Or, do you have a better suggestion? Let me know in the comments. Thanks everyone for watching. Don't forget to do all the internet things. Click like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell icon if you want notifications about new videos that come up on this channel. And thanks!